better roll them dice. You never know if it could change your life. Take a chance, you're neither wrong or right. You never know if you don't roll them dice. You better roll them dice. You never know if it'll change your
Hello,
life.
Matt.
Hello, Rob. Sorry, that I meant to be scary, but it came out as chubby checker, I think.
let me start again. Hello, Matt. Well, now I'm just Russian. I was trying to do a vampire Dracula thing. Welcome
Russians
to
are scary.
Dungeon Master of None.
Yeah, it's happy Halloween, everyone. It's spooky season.
Spooky season.
We're going to talk about some spooky adventures.
That's right. We love a spooky adventure. We've talked at length about how to run horror games, how to create tension and spookiness in your games. We like a lot of adventures and systems that lean on this. And yeah, we have a pretty good list of adventures and games to talk about that are spooky, that are fun to run, that we have run or are going to run this week. It is Spooky Week. Halloween is coming up, so there's some good stuff in here.
Both of us, just because of the theme of the episode, but also because it's easier, picked short adventures. All of mine are like one shots or will be a 2 or 3 session game. And we've talked about this before. I think spookiness lends to this shorter thing. You can get to a satisfying conclusion as you pull the rubber mask off the villain and discover that it's you, in fact, under the mask or something crazy like that. And then the game ends.
I mean, if you want to create tension, it helps if the players think that their characters might actually be under threat. So if it is part of like a long-running campaign, then it's a little bit less, I think, dramatic and spooky and a little bit harder to ratchet up the tension than it is if it's like a one-shot or a short adventure. That way you can have the monster kill somebody and it will feel correct and satisfying. That isn't to say that you can't run like a long-running horror campaign. There's lots of great Call of Cthulhu games that are very spooky and long running.
Naharlatep.
Yes, but I tend to like one shots or short adventures for my spooky needs. Mine are all pretty short.
Right. So if you want a campaign spooky adventure, head back to the past episodes to check out our review of Carrion Crown or Curse of Strahd, or to the future when hopefully one day we review something like Masks of Naharlatep or Impossible Landscapes or something like that.
We'll talk about this a bit, but Mothership Gradient Descent is a whole campaign, and that is very spooky.
Also in the past.
Also in the past, we have just talked about that. So it's not impossible, but the ones we'll talk about today are mostly shorter.
Well, let's get to our spooky recommendations, Rob. You've got a longer list than I do, so start us off.
Okay. I'm going to start with one of my favorites, and it's something that we've talked about before, but I can't recommend it enough, and it's Curse of Strahd's Death House. I say Curse of Strahd's Death House because it's included in the Curse of Strahd adventure, and it's technically...
Right, it's like National Lampoon's, Animal House. Okay.
It's technically an introduction, but I think it can stand alone, and the reason that I like Death House, there's lots of reasons why I like Death House, but I think that 5e is not the best system, but it's not the worst system for horror. I think it's kind of like right in the middle. And Death House does a really good job of playing to Dungeons and Dragons strengths when it comes to spookiness. It's basically like a big dungeon, not a mega dungeon, but like, a house with a basement underneath it. And it starts out with your players investigating a spooky house. There's scary ghost children. And then over time, they discover a cult, and there's a shambling mound, and Strahd makes an appearance, well, in the form of like paintings and a statue and a letter. But it also, it's a good adventure. It's a good D&D adventure because there's a bunch of like fun monsters. There's animated armor and shadows and specters and ghosts and a broom that attacks you, and like I mentioned, a shambling mound, which is a really hard fight for low-level players. This is just like a really classic, solid 5e adventure. I've run it a few times. It's a great introduction to the setting, great introduction to the game, and if you are going to do something spooky, I think for 5e it's a really good one. Another Yeah, it's a little bit like
I would
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I would say, yeah, it's spooky in the way that, like, if you want a spooky gothic dungeon crawl,
Yeah.
if you're like, hey, my players like dungeon crawls, and what if we had a spooky one? This is straight up their alley. It's also great in that there's a little bit of like clues and mysteries to uncover. Like, hey, how do you get out? Or if you want to use it as an intro to a longer Ravenloft campaign, you can use it to seed clues about like whatever Ravenloft adventure you want to do next.
I think it works really well as the intro to something, but it's fun as a standalone. I like the mix of just classic dungeon delving with a spooky mystery. You're trying to find out what happens to the ghost, what happened to the ghost children, why are they ghosts, what happened to the family. It's a really good mix, and I think it's the house is really well designed. It's a fun dungeon. There's lots of secret doors and stuff to uncover. It's great. I think it's a really good intro to Ravenloft, to Curse of Strahd, even just an intro to D&D. It's a haunted house, but a good one. It's a little bit like another one like this is the Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh, the first adventure in the Ghosts of Saltmarsh. Well, it was a standalone and it was packaged into a whole book. But I like these both because I like the mix of spookiness with something bigger going on in a big dungeon. I think this works really well for D&D, and I've enjoyed running Death House a lot. It's fun. Spoilers
for Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh in that it's sort of it's also a great Halloween adventure, but the payoff is the opposite. Think Rot Row. It's
that one's very like, Hanna-Barbera.
My players are tired of the supernatural bullshit being the explanation for everything. Then if you catch my drift, they'll really appreciate this one. And again, great low-level dungeon crawl of a haunted, if you can hear the air quotes, house.
Yeah. But Death House is a really good adventure if you're looking for something short and spooky and you've run 5e at all. It's easy. It's been polished to a fine sheen over the 40 plus years that it's existed, and it's great. Even if you're not running a Ravenloft campaign, it can fit, I think, nicely anywhere. You can add a bunch of hooks for other things. It's great.
My first recommendation is one that I've run and one that I've got coming up to run again for this Halloween. Is a Mothership one-shot. It's called The Haunting of Ipsilon 14. And like many Mothership products, it comes in a super slick package, a trifold one-pager front and back with audio files attached for your players to discover in cassettes. It only costs $5 too. It's spooky in space.
By the time you hear this recording, I will probably have run this. I have read it. I love it. This is a classic Mothership module. It is a one session easy. I love this one also because it's kind of got like a ticking clock in it. You really can't. Yeah. This really can't run too long because there's a monster and the monster's killing people, and eventually it's going to run out of people, and then your players are going to have to do something about it. It's very well designed. This is a really good module. I'm a big fan.
Maybe it's the way I DM. I saw some people like, oh, this took me 2 sessions. I'm like, how is that possible? Yeah. So I think one. And if I think this is, depending on your DM style, the perfect recommendation for sci-fi scariness, right? Players are arriving doing just regular stuff, right? Which is like a great intro to something scary. We're not scary adventurers. We're not, all vampires ourselves or something like that. We're normal, space truckers. And then,
regular men, Matt.
Just normal men.
Just more normal men.
And then something bad happens. This is, I think, great because the adventure is essentially like 2 elements. There's an asteroid and then there's a monster. It has enough clues, like there are clues everywhere for the players to figure out what's going on with the monster. And like, again, for a horror one shot, you don't want it, I think, to be that if you're tired of like, oh, there's this horror adventure where there's like a 12-step mystery to uncover and spooky supernaturalism. By the way, we'll probably recommend one of those later. You're just like, just put something scary that the players are going to have trouble dealing with, and it's ominous, and it like presents itself in that kind of off-screen way that is the classic, horror movie, and that people are dying, and unless the players are incredibly lucky, there's no way they're figuring out what's happening until they've had a chance to crawl around in some vents, in some mines, possibly bad stuff, infections happening to them, and then they can find a way to either destroy it or just get away.
Yeah, I love the monster here. It's enough of a mystery that the players may encounter it or encounter its comings and goings and not figure it out right away, but they will figure it out. It'll only, like, either they'll stumble upon one of the very obvious clues, or they'll be smart enough to put it together from the less obvious clues. But presumably, unless they do something really weird, and I guess I'd have to run this multiple times, but they will figure it out. Will they survive once they figure it out? I don't know, but they'll, it's the monster will make itself known, and then they'll, be on the part of the horror movie where they have to try to defeat it or flee.
Yeah. And I guess we should have said that the version of Death House that is, I think, free that Rob was talking about was by one Christopher Perkins, and that The Haunting of Ypsilon 14 is by D.G. Chapman. And it's also like a great example of what we were talking about a couple episodes of mapping with flowcharts, though, of course, there's great community-made maps. I gave one, handed one straight to my players and said, here's a map of this decrepit mine asteroid. Go nuts.
I love the provided flowchart maps, and I've been using these mothership maps for almost everything because they work so well for my brain. Just like little connected boxes with like indicators of here's an airlock, here's a vent. But like Matt said, there's a bunch of community maps that you can use as well. This one page, this trifold for Ypsilon 14 is so good. The way that Mothership has, in my opinion, elevated the design and ability to communicate information concisely is just chef's kiss. I love Mothership.
Yeah. Other points of recommendation, Rob said it, but I'm going to hit on it again. It's great for your like spooky night one shot because you can set yourself a little timer,
Yes.
and just be like, and then something bad happens. Oh, you were dicking around. You were hacking the computer files. Uh-oh, something bad happened. Oh no, everyone's scrambling and panicking again. And then it kind of gives everything a nice little horror tempo.
This is what I love about Shadow Dark, and I think it's a great mechanism for any kind of high intensity or spooky game is have a timer. And in Ypsilon 14, there's every either 10 minutes of real time or hour of in-game time, you roll and something bad happens. And it really lights a fire under people. It really like gets them moving. So I'm a huge fan of this mechanic. One of the adventures I'm going to talk about also includes it. There's obviously not every game needs a timer to keep people moving, but I find this works really well with a horror game to build tension. So I love this about Ypsilon 14.
Speaking of other adventures that you want to recommend, what's another adventure you want to recommend?
Well, let's keep on theme because we were just talking about it. I have a recommendation for another mothership, which I ran, which I'm a really big fan of, called The Plea. And this is by Goat in the Wood Games. It came as part of a 3-pack of games. The author is Nikolaj Gudjansson. It's another trifold, and this one's really fun. Much like Ypsilon 14, your players are approaching an abandoned station to just pick up some cargo. They receive a transmission, but it's garbled. A shuttle approaches the ship. Turns out the transmission is from the station saying, no, don't let the shuttle dock with you. And then there's a horrible spider drone on the shuttle, and it immediately scuttles into the vents. And then there's this really fun, like, cat and mouse game where the spider drone is trying to drain power from their ship so that it can escape, and they have to kind of like hunt it down. It hacks their systems. It has like a ability to like mimic like Predator does in the Predator movie. So like, you know, you're hearing like your teammates' voices through the comm system. And this is like a very like free flowing adventure. The GM are just sort of like moving it around, trying to get it to suck all the power before they can, you know, find it and take care of it. It's I ran this last week. It was really fun. My players were freaked out trying to figure out where the spider drone had gone. You get to use little trackers to like show them the power being drained out of their ship. Like Epsilon 14, it has a mechanic for a beat. So, you know, every time something narratively makes sense, you move the tracker along a little bit, something gets hacked, some power goes out, you know, the lights go out in the ship, it gets cold, things start floating up from the floor as gravity goes out. This is again, it's a trifold, it's 2 pages. It's very like free flowing for you to run, but I had a ton of fun with this. I think this was a great Mothership module. It was spooky and tense, and my players hated it and loved it.
Robots can be scary too, Rob.
Robots can be scary.
The lesson here in this module is the robot on their ship too.
Yes, sorry. The robot docks with them and then crawls into their ship, and then it's their ship that it's trying to drain all the power from. It's in their
perfect
vents.
if you have a long running campaign too, and they
Yes.
already have like a ship that they care about, and then the double horror of their stuff.
This worked great for me because they had just gotten a ship, and you know, this was like the first thing that happened was running into this drone that was suddenly in their hard-earned and very expensive vessel. So yeah, it works really well for a long-running campaign.
That's awesome. I mean, the amount of quality products being put out by Mothership creators that are just really, really focused on getting you exactly what you need to start prepping and nothing more. Like when I ran our previous one, that previous 2-page trifold pamphlet, right? No words are wasted. There's a lot of stuff like, but these are adventures where it's like, okay, NPCs are written with a couple word descriptions. Maybe you want to spend an hour. I spent an hour before running to like add a little extra flavor. Think about, you know, I think The Plea has an amazing opening, but like, oh, The Haunting of Epsilon 14. Maybe I should give my players like one more like little clue that something bad is going on.
Yeah.
You know, like you find little places where you want to make this your own and spice it up. And
a common and really valid, criticism of Epsilon 14 is like, why would they stay? Like, which I don't think that's like very hard for you as a GM to like come up with a reason, but like I love these because I personally like to add a little bit of like my own juice to something. So like it doesn't matter if it's like very thin on the ground, but I guess a warning about these trifolds is that they are just bare bones scaffolding, which I think is great. That gives you a lot to work with, but like you have everything that you need. But I agree with Matt. You might want to spend an hour maybe fleshing out the NPCs, maybe adding a little bit of detail, but you don't need it.
Yeah. I appreciate them in that sitting down and understanding what's happening in the module takes 10 minutes. And then the trifold works so well that it's like the perfect reference sheet. It's like a crib sheet you brought to the test. Okay, that's a pair of killer spooky Mothership modules.
Shout out also
recommendation-
to
Yes.
we'll link to this in the show notes, but Gradient Descent is a full-on campaign, a mega dungeon that is genuinely very spooky. There's lots of scary shit in Gradient Descent, so listen to our episode on that. It's one of my favorite adventures ever, one of the best things I've ever read. It's fantastic.
And if you want to listen to our full review of that, you can head over to patreon.com/Patreon?
Nice.
Dungeon Master of None.
That's right.
And for $5 a month, you can get it and a bunch of other bonus episodes. Yes. And another spooky module that's the opposite. What if you liked a dungeon and or dragon?
I do like a dungeon and or dragon sometimes.
Okay.
I've been known to enjoy those things.
So my next recommendation, it comes from the very early days of Paizo's Pathfinder 1E, which was a long time ago now, but I played this back when it was new. But the way Pathfinder 1E is written is that if you want to convert this into any fantasy role-playing game, it would not be hard. And that adventure is Carrion Hill by Richard Pett. And it is not an adventure that you can read in 5 minutes. However, it is also not super complicated. It's got like ghouls and necromancers, and then, spoiler alert, a big Cthulhu mythos monster that is super scary. It's also set in just a really spooky town.
God, I had forgotten about this one until Matt brought it up. I never really get tired of the it starts out with zombies or ghouls and then it turns into a Lovecraftian horror. Like that's my favorite type of adventure for role-playing games, but really narratively I love when a regular horror turns into a cosmic horror. I think that's just a great escalation of terrors. So yeah, Carrion Hill's a great one.
Yeah,
Ustalav. We love Ustalav.
Yes, it starts. Well, actually, if I'm remembering correctly, is not in Ustalav. It is in Varisia. It is on the coast. So I think you're thinking of Carrion Crown.
I'm thinking of Carrion Hill, but maybe the wiki is wrong because I was checking the wiki. Let me find my copy.
Nope, never mind. I'm looking through my copy. You're absolutely right.
Yes,
I said it in Varisia when I read it, which must
fine.
be where
Varisia is close to Ustalav, and there are Ustalavians in Varisia, so that's fine.
But it's got the things that you want to see, right? Necromancers, an asylum with your typical, I don't know, slasher movie kind of villains. I like this one. I think it's a great example to steal from because I don't think it's a one shot. If I remember correctly from when I ran it, it probably took me 2 or 3 sessions. But the great thing is it leans on the mechanics of modern D&D-ish games where it's like, well, what if we just made our big scary monster like invisible, right? And so it can be attacking things and the players are going to have a really hard time dealing with it unless they can get rid of that invisibility like permanently. And so it's also going to leave them clues like, oh no, there's something happened here, but we don't know what. But there's this one little clue to investigate, which, if you're not picking up what Rob and I have been putting down, a good horror adventure is almost certainly involving some player initiated investigation.
Yeah, part of the spookiness is trying to figure out what's going on. And you don't want to well, sorry, I have strong opinions about this because I've, been thinking about it a lot. But like, you don't want to hide the ball too much, right? Like, you don't want to drag out the like what's going on until everyone gets like frustrated and bored. But also, you don't want to over-explain it. And all the modules that I like, all the best horror stories that I like, they tell you learn a little, you find out what's going on, but like there's still some big major question marks, and nothing kills the spooky mood more than it being over explained. I recently rewatched Tremors, Matt. Also shout out to our module, Rumblings, based on Tremors. Pretty fun, spooky season.
Heavy sales pitch episode. Sorry.
Adventure. Listen, this is a favorite of
It's
ours.
good.
But the great thing about the thing I loved about Tremors was there's like this bit where they're like, I don't know, maybe it's the government or they're radioactive aliens or something, and then they never find out. You never find out in Tremors like where the graboids come from, what they are. I think that's great. I think that's perfect.
Tremors isn't spooky. It's just a monster movie.
I mean,
we don't care.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But yeah.
Pathfinder 1Es, Carrion Hill, pretty easy to adapt to other things or to lift like one or two monsters or group of like weirdos out of.
Taking another sort of detour in another direction, I have one from Vaesen, and we've talked about Vaesen before. This is an introductory mystery called Summer in December by Dr. Matthew Tyler Jones. And this is a specifically designed introductory adventure for conventions or one-shots. I ran it very comfortably in a 3-hour session. If you are interested in running Vaesen, I could not recommend it more. It's also very thematic. Vaesen is, if you'll recall, a TTRPG around sort of Nordic folk horror, and this really hits all the high notes. It's not like super scary, but it is spooky. There are ghosts. There are, spoilers, some murdered children. There's a lot of really unpleasant wrongdoing by people in the town. There's an angered forest spirit and lots of entities and creatures that have to be dealt with and appeased. And I think it's like a pretty fun, low-level investigation mystery for people to figure out. My players only struggled a little. You know, it's definitely like a mystery. And as we've discussed at length, that can be tricky if you don't give like a lot of clues. But in terms of spooky vibes, I really, really loved this one, and it was really fun to run. I've
run this one twice, once at a convention, once with my own players. It took me about 4 hours and 15 minutes. We went over our like session just barely, and 3 hours with my players. So it's definitely a one shot if you're on top of things. I love Summer in December. It is, I think the exact opposite is what I was referring to earlier when we were like, sometimes the best horror is just put one scary, spooky thing and then let your players bounce around as they try and deal with it. This one is the opposite. Yes, there is one like, horrible curse, thing that has gone wrong, a sin of the past, and one spooky thing that's going on. But there's like a ton of like NPCs that have interacted with that and have feelings, and the clues are all over the village. And this is one that it really takes a team from the University of Uppsala to really put this one together. I think if I remember correctly, this one also has a content warning for like harmed children that you may or may not want to. Well, it completely depends on what your players are doing. This one is heavy on the. It has enough clues for your players to figure them out. You definitely want to pretty much just give your players all of the clues, and if they fail their investigation rolls, there's some other setback, because the mystery with like it's perfect folklore, right? With fae and a murder and all those things, and industrialization versus the wilderness. It's got all those things, but like your players will need not all the clues, but as many as possible to really like figure out what's going on and decide how they want to deal with this this little town of December.
This is the opposite of Ypsilon 14. It is open-ended. There's a lot going on. The mystery, I think, is very good. And like Matt said, there are enough clues. But also, like, there's a lot of red herrings. Like there's a lot of bad things happening in the town that aren't related to the central mystery, and that's okay. But your players are going to need to be thorough, and it's a different type of game than, oh god, there's a monster on the space station. How do we deal with it? Like it's slower and more methodical. I really like it, but you got to have a group that is ready to do some investigation, ask some questions, and think outside the box just like a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit.
Yeah. And like with one of the times I ran it, like players had found out about one aspect of things, but not the other. And like they were getting ready to wrap up, and they're like, okay, we know the thing causing this is some kind of nature spirit. Let's do a nature spirit thing. And I'm like, yeah, that's good enough. You know enough. That's like perfect for this game. Bring a little out, yes, they were supposed to talk to someone to tell them, oh, yeah, you're supposed to put flowers in the mill pond or something like that. But they're like, well, let's just try something like that. I'm like, good enough. So it's one of those where you should give your players a big leash for like solving, a long lead for solving this mystery.
Yeah. There's also lots of NPCs and things that can just give information. And there was a time or two that I had just like tell them something because they were so close, but they were like missing just like one step off. But you have lots of tools at your disposal, and be generous. Like with any mystery, just give them more than they need, and if they get close, just kind of give it to them, because
might be speaking on a more fatal flaw with the system of Vaesen than this adventure. But I also point out that if you want an adventure with like, ooh, what about a bunch of like weirdo NPCs, and like, my players really love talking to people and stuff like that, and this is a good one for. You've got, 6 really important NPCs, embody those characters, and then let your players go around and talk to them, and they're going to have a great time.
Yeah.
And it's super spooky. I don't know if we mentioned that. The mystery and the nature spirit are incredibly spooky.
It's very spooky. I want to make the distinction here between scary and spooky, because like it's not full of like Mothership is scary. It's horror. Like there's like a monster and it's like eating people. Like it's the thing, right? This is more like it's a spooky mystery. There are ghosts, there are disappearances, there are fey creatures that are beyond your ken. It is definitely spooky, but it's a different form of it, which is really cool. I really love Summer December. The vibes are immaculate for this one.
All right. That's a great recommendation, and I, of course, second it. Here's the last one, Rob, that I've got on my list of spooky adventures, and unlike all the previous ones, I have not run it, but I feel like I've cribbed enough of it for other games that I feel like I have, but that's, of course, not the case. So with that caveat and warning, it is Observer Effect by Shane Ivey, and it's a module for Delta Green.
I've read Delta Green. I'm not familiar with this adventure though. I'm excited to hear about it because I love Delta Green's on that like long list of games that I'm not sure I'll ever get to run, but I would love to, because I love the concept of Delta Green. I love this stuff. So what happens in Observer Effect?
Right. Well, so your players as members of Delta Green or the program, whatever, they're investigator, X-File-ish agents working for ? Right? Up to you as they're investigating. It's spooky physics.
I do love spooky physics, spooky action at a distance, even, Matt.
Right. So there's a weird Department of Energy, Air Force, DARPA, something, the Olympian Hollow Beam Array to investigate.
Sick.
Like
Great name.
The nature of
Hollow
the
Beam
universe.
Array. Hang on, I gotta write that down. That's
yeah, I know. So again, I haven't read this, but I've like read this and been like, oh, I'm stealing this weird scientist. I'm stealing this cool jargon. I'm stealing this concept, and it is it is a horror like time loop effect, and it will almost certainly take you more than one session to play, because this is one that you should like like where the players are resetting with new and horrible knowledge about the cosmos. Psst, it's Azathoth. Invading our reality, and oh no, we're back in a place we were at a certain time, but we have new knowledge, and this can happen over and over again as iterations come, and the players attempt the very difficult task of breaking this extraplanar or subplanar connection. There's a lot of talk. There's a lot of like sci-fi jargon about dimensions and stuff like that. But also,
I love sci-fi jargon about dimensions. I love time loops. I love scary time loops. This is great. This is good stuff.
And every time I thought about running this as a one shot, I was like, ooh, I love a lot of the ideas in this, because I've run like time loops before, and the next time I was doing one for like a new group of players, I was like, I should find a really good time loop adventure and see if there's anything I can learn from it. And I learned a lot from this, but then I was like, oh, do I actually just want to run this? And I was like, oh man, there is so much going on here. This is the opposite of some of the other ones we've mentioned, where you can run with very minimal prep. You will need to really take some notes, and I think understandably, if this is the effect that you want to create, if you've imagined in your head how fun it would be to be an investigator in scary Groundhog Day, in Nightmare Palm Springs, then this is a great adventure.
I mean, in case you're not picking up on it, I think we're both in agreement that when it comes to like a horror module or horror adventure, simpler is often better. Like it doesn't have to be complicated, and I think it can get in the way of creating that spooky atmosphere if there's too much going on. That being said, if done right, like it can be something like this can be real spooky. It's just making it work can be a challenge while maintaining sort of the tension, the spookiness of a horror game. That's the real balancing act.
One clever last thing to like steal, if you want to add a twist on any of the like modern day horror adventures or even sci-fi ones, is give your players like a little bit of a handicap. And I think one of the great ways that this one makes it more fun is like, hey, on the way over to investigate this Department of Physics, high energy beam array thing, you need to be in disguise. So you playing Joe the Air Force mechanic, whose hobbies are push-ups and stuff, you need to pretend to be a physicist. And so get into character with your character, and that's super fun.
That's
so
funny.
yeah, because we're gonna try and sneak y'all in and just pretend to be
pretty smart. Yeah.
Pretend to be a visiting scientist from Switzerland, or a bureaucrat or something like that. So it's really fun.
I'm glad we mentioned Delta Green, because we haven't talked about it at length, but it's for a spooky adventure. It's a great system, especially if you like that, military forces haplessly fighting against creatures beyond their ability to kill with guns. I do enjoy that type of story a lot.
Do you consider the X-Files Halloween viewing, Rob?
I do consider, not every episode, but many X-Files can be quite scary.
I just want to make sure no one's going to get mad at us for breaking Halloween canon.
I think so, but some people have higher like specific standards, but there's a whole realm of spooky things, and
right. Halloween doesn't just have to be the witches of Eastwick, though. That's fine.
Great recommendation. Delta Green was observation report.
The observer effect, right?
Observer,
a nice physics
observer
term.
effect.
It has
better.
a little bit of spookiness in it.
Little spooky, little physics. I love it. I'm going to recommend something that I love, and I feel a little bit bad recommending it because I don't want to say it's like a dead setting or a dead system, but it's largely abandoned. But I'm going to recommend broadly the Rippers setting for Savage Worlds and a couple of adventures within it. I love Rippers. I ran a one-shot, or I wrote and ran a one-shot multiple times. Matt played in it.
I have. Remind everyone what Rippers is in like two sentences.
I'm getting there. Rippers is a Savage Worlds setting. It is set in sort of an alternate Victorian England where your secret society of Rippers fights like Jack the Ripper and, Dr. Jekyll and Dracula and Frankenstein and whatnot. It's like
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. You have cool weapons, that it's a little bit like Bloodborne. You have neat weapons that you fight monsters with.
I would describe it as League of Extraordinary Gentlemen if the comic book was not written by Alan Moore, but like by James Gunn or something.
Yes.
It's not exactly the same like tone and dwelling on like empire and
it's kind of like
of
League of Extraordinary
fiction.
Gentlemen, the movie, which removes all of the interesting things. I mean, this is a grave insult to Rippers, but truthfully, it's correct because the movie removes all the interesting things from Alan Moore's writing and just like makes it a big dumb adventure story with Tom Sawyer fighting next to Captain Nemo. But like that's the vibe of Rippers, and I really like it. It's not so much
like it too.
Spooky as like a pulp action thing, but it is very Halloween appropriate, and it doesn't really matter that they haven't done much updating for Savage Worlds because Savage Worlds is like a pretty flexible and light system, but there's some neat rules for special weapons and fighting monsters and things like that. And you can go on to Pinnacle Entertainment and like look at a couple of the free adventures. There's one called Caterwaller where a monster is roaming London's Paddington district. I like this one, but my preferred adventure for Rippers that I like a lot is called The Last Lion. And spoilers, the Rippers are contracted by an elegant English lady who wants them to find her son, who's gone missing in India. Working for the Malakand
John
Force.
Company.
It's Winston Churchill. Spoiler alert. Anyway.
Right. Where I'm in the wrong time period.
The wrong time period. Anyway.
Even worse.
It's like a Mothership Trifold. It's just 2 pages. It's very brief. It's not a great adventure, but it's a great framework to build on. I like it's a great introduction to sort of like the Victorian time period and the Rippers as an organization. You end up in like Afghanistan and you fight some Al, which are sort of repainted demons from, Kurdish folklore or something, but and it's a little Orientalist, but whatever. I love the Ripper setting. You have to do a lot of work with it. The reason why I don't run anything anymore is because you just kind of have to bootstrap the whole thing. I do think about going back to it sometimes, but I love the sort of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Bloodborne, Victorian vibe. I think it's great, and I think it's there's some really like neat adventure frameworks to build on here if you want like a spooky Victorian era adventure. And I do love Savage Worlds. So Rippers is one of my recommendations for a spooky season. You could run one of these one-pagers easily as a one-shot. They're designed that way, and they're fun.
Yeah, it's and like Rob mentioned, your players get to build characters where you're like, well, I'm Frankenstein's monster's cousin.
That's
whatever.
right. Yeah,
it's
fun. It's cool. Yeah, you're
our favorite spooky type of peoples.
Right. You're a werewolf that fights werewolves. You're Blade, but Victorian Blade. It's cool. It's fun.
Victorian Blade.
Some motherfuckers are always trying to roller. what would be the Victorian equivalent of? I guess it would still be ice skate uphill. Never mind.
Yeah.
It would still be trying to ice skate uphill in 1899.
And ice skates. Man. Yeah, man. Blade 2.
Blade 2. We love it.
All the blades are good.
All the blades are good. There's no bad blades. Don't come at me. I even like the one with Ryan Reynolds in it.
Yeah. Blade Trinity.
Blade Trinity.
Well, let's see. One role-playing game that has been on my mind, which we haven't done a full review of because I don't think either Rob and I have had a chance to play test it or dig deep enough to do it. But I've been reading it off and on and been like, oh man, this would be so great one day. Which is, have you heard of this game system, Rob? It's called Teeth. Walking into the dentist office. Teeth.
Yes.
Teeth.
Teeth. I have heard of Teeth. Yes.
It's by Jim Rossignol and Marsh Davies, and it's a Forge in the Dark system, and obviously, listeners can tell where my interests lie. It's not that different from Vaesen, just one shabby part of Europe over from Scandinavia to England, and one shabby century over from late 19th to late 18th, with way more emphasis on the comedy and way more mechanics for keeping the investigation into the folk horrors and weird extra dimensional beings that are invading things that are beyond the kin of natural philosophers.
Yes. I remember this one. Yeah, actually, we should talk about this soon. I backed Gold Teeth, the pirate occult horror, I guess, spin-off of this. But yeah, Teeth has
once I run Teeth and you run Gold Teeth, we'll
talk about
Teeth mega episode, which Rob and I will mash our teeth together in a thing that really freaks me out. I don't like it when teeth touch.
No, that's gross. Why would you say that? Now I'm like,
I'm trying to scare everyone.
Well, it worked. I'm freaked out, Matt. Okay, so put a pin in that for a teeth episode. Yeah. God, there's so many more things that I could talk about, but I wanted to focus on ones that I've run, and there's a few others. There's some. Oh, there's a lot of spooky stuff that is good, but those are some of my favorites. We leaned heavily on it, but boy, I gotta say that Mothership has got to be one of the best systems I've ever run in for creating a horror atmosphere. Just the way that it's designed, the way that players get freaked out, the way that as their stress builds, they get more and more worried. We're always talking about how systems impact narrative storytelling, but Mothership really does it.
Yeah. If we want to make a brief digression into system talk, it really does it well in that there's the stress there in the way the countdown systems of your classic other horror games where you have some sort of will or sanity pool and they count down don't get. It's just the count up works way better. Obviously there's trade-offs, short-term versus long-term play. But yeah, it makes way more sense when you run down the corridor instead of, I don't know, have start talking in a weird tongue, but it's different if it's different flavors.
Yeah, it's different flavors. I mean, I've talked about how I don't like sanity mechanics conceptually, or build fear trackers, or so it's hard to do well. But I think what Mothership is doing is good, is in the right direction.
Yeah, no, it is it is a good mechanic. I like it even better. I've only played in this, not run it. The Alien RPG and the way that you get extra dice and stuff. It works kind of similarly, but I prefer the Mothership one. But so that's some spooky module recommendations, I think. Did you have any other ones you want to like throw out really quickly?
No, I think I mentioned all the, on our way through all the ones that I thought, all the ones I have direct experience with or that I could recommend. Like I said, Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh is a good one. Gradient Descent is a good one. Anything is set in Call of Cthulhu, Delta Green, Vaesen. Like we mentioned, these are whole systems dedicated to a spooky adventure, but I think there's some that are a little bit better than others.
I'm remembering now that I've run a Brindlewood Bay mystery that is.
We talked all about Brindlewood Bay.
Well, there's one that's Halloween themed. There's like a one, but the fact that I cannot remember its name or anything about it tells me that maybe it was not best
that good
of the collection. But that's okay because all of them are pretty cozy, spooky. So
I do want to recommend Brindlewood Bay just broadly as a great spooky season system. Anything that you run is great. Okay.
Well, Rob, thanks everyone, I guess, for being the observers in our effect for our spooky modules. Check out the show notes to links to everything that we discussed.
If you have other suggestions for spooky modules for us to read, run, talk about, let us know. We love them. We're always doing them. Hit us up at dmofnone@gmail.com. You can find us on Blue Sky, join our Discord, link in the show notes. As always, thanks for listening, everybody, and keep rolling them dice.